Hey guys, in yesterday's video, we introduced the idea of a Hope Center. This is a program that we're trying to bring to Kittanning and to the Armstrong County area, really, to help as many people that are caught in addiction as possible, that we can get them to full recovery. And so I promised that I would show you this podcast. I recorded it a couple months ago with one of the regional directors of Hope Center, and I'm really excited for you to listen to it. As you're going through the podcast, if you have anything that you want to say, I just encourage you to put it in the comments. If you have questions about the program beyond the information that's laid out here, I would love to hear those. We're planning on doing many follow-up videos as we go through the fundraising process, as we go, step by step into bringing a Hope Center to Kittanning. And so I would love to have your questions, your comments, your concerns. I would love to know those up front so that I can address those things in future videos. And if I don't know the answers, we know the people that do. And so I would love to just get whatever information that you feel is most pertinent for you to be able to support a program like this. I'd love to see that in the comments. But that's it. Enjoy the podcast, and I hope to hear from you very soon. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Greatest City in the World podcast. I'm here with a new friend today. I can't wait to explain everything that's going on here. If this is your first time listening to this, this is going to be a good one. So listen up. It's going to be a great conversation, and hopefully we're going to hear about something that's going to be transformative for Kittanning, for Armstrong County, and, well, we really hope for Western Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And so why don't you just explain to the people who you are and what you're here for?
Yeah. So my name is Stephen Paulk. I'm a 6-time convicted meth cook out of Nashville, Tennessee. Spent a lot of my life in prison and on dope, but I met this person in prison. His name was Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And it completely changed my life. So today I'm a part of a program called Hope Center Ministries. I am the regional director over campus development. I travel around and I talk with pastors. I talk with people about opening Hope Centers and what it looks like for the community. So Hope Center, it's a long-term treatment program. What we do is we help men and women overcome their addiction through their faith in Jesus Christ. This is a 3-phase program that breaks down first phase, second phase, third phase. First phase of the program is a 45-day minimum. In that time, there's 3 one-on-one counselings, 2 group sessions a week, and that is where we like to call it Bible boot camp. We go in there and we teach these men and women who Jesus is. We teach them how to have a relationship with God, how to overcome all their hurts, habits, hang-ups through a relationship with God. So that's the first 45 days of the program. The second part of our program is the vocational work therapy part of the program. This is how the program is funded. These men and women, they work for their recovery. So there's no out-of-pocket cost except for the admission, one-time cost, admission fee. So these men and women are able to work for their recovery while learning to have a relationship with God, balance their meetings, balance their church services, balance a normal life like the rest of us have.
Wow.
I have to go to work every day. So are these men and women. They're going to learn to be normal, productive citizens in the community. The third phase of the program is 6 weeks. In this part of the program, these men and women, they get a lot of their freedoms back. Some of that freedom is they get a phone. They can have a car back. They get to go to their own job, but they're still under the care of Hope Center. They still live in our house. We still drug test. We still work with these men and women through counseling, biblical counseling. They still come to our churches, church services. They still go to the same CR meetings. And through this year that they're in the program with us, they have built a support group at the church. So they go to this one church. For that full year, they go to a CR group. Anybody that doesn't know what CR is, it's Celebrate Recovery. It's a AA, but we put a Jesus spin on it. It's not it's not a higher power doorknob, this and that. It is Jesus Christ as our higher power. That's what we teach in our program. We're unapologetic about it. We are all about Christ. So in that third phase of the program, they still get to manage their freedoms, but they also learn things on how to budget, how to manage money. We teach all of these things through curriculum that we have at the Hope Center, and that's kind of a quick breakdown of what Hope Center is and why I'm here.
Yeah, that's. There's so many unique things about Hope Center that really stuck out to me. I first heard about this a couple years ago, and I started hearing some of the numbers of successful recovered people. And you guys define that a little bit differently too, right? So how do you define recovery? Like what does a success story look like for Hope Center?
Well, with Hope Center, our focus is, let's use Kittanning, for example. Our focus is this community. Once we open a Hope Center here, we don't bus people in from different states, from different counties, things like that. Everybody we're focused on are right here in Kittanning. So once we get into the court systems and the jails and in the other churches and they start giving us the admissions, all of those individuals from this county come into the Hope Center and their families and everything, they all come to church. So we build that support group all the way around Kittanning through the Celebrate Recovery meetings, through the church services, through the work. All the people we're after are right here. So with that support group built, it is a success. We help them find jobs as well. Yeah. So there's a success story right there in the end of it. So we're able to keep up with it, and that helps us to track how successful we are. So again, I was telling you earlier about Waverly, Tennessee. When you go to the church in Waverly, Tennessee, about 400 to 500 people go to that church. Half the people in that church either came through the Hope Center or are there because of their relationship to Hope Center in the church.
Yeah.
And we're able to track our success rate because the men and women that don't ever leave the church, they get involved in the community here. They're from this community. Their families get involved, and they stay sober because they're a part of our family now.
And I love that you guys are not afraid of a small town. If you think of some place like Kittanning, let's say if we do touch a couple hundred lives in a town of 4,000 people, they say you only need 1% to 2% change in the community to completely revamp the community. Well, that would be 5% of the people. And I think that would be a low number in your guys' case for what you're shooting for, how many families to touch, how many lives to touch, how many people you want to bring through the house. And so I don't know. Every time we talk about it, I get goosebumps, man, because I'm thinking about what could this mean for a community. We're not just talking about. I mean, every individual life is important, but this is bigger than that. Even I mean, we're talking. You could change a family. You can change a neighborhood. You can change an entire city.
We are not just after the resident. It's great to get the resident sober. Yeah. But we're after the whole family. We have classes set up that on Friday nights we have a family support class where we teach things like tough love to families, codependency, manipulating, you name it, and we have a pamphlet for it, and we teach on it on Friday nights. So it's not just the resident we're after. We're after the whole family unit. To visit the resident, you have to come to church. Yep. We require you to come to church because I'm not just after them. I'm after that whole family. Yep. We want them all to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ. We want to get them all saved. It doesn't do us any good to get this guy or this girl saved and send them back to a bad home or send them back to the trap house or the crack house. We're after everybody, the entire family unit, the kids, all of them.
Yeah. So you're seeing a lot of the problems that we see with the jail system. You go into the prison system, then you come out. You haven't learned any skills. There's nothing there's nothing to go back to other than the old life.
That's right.
And so you go back to that, and you end up right back in the prison system. So we have this revolving door. Even some of the I don't want to call them normal recovery centers, but you know what I mean. Like a regular, say, state-run recovery center or state-funded recovery center might have a success rate of 10, 15, 20%. You guys are seeing much more success than that. What are you guys looking at as far as those numbers?
Our graduates, at least 60% of our graduates stay sober. Again, we're able to track that because once they get involved in the Hope Center and they stay at the church that we are sponsored by, they stay there. So we're able to keep up with it a lot better. So we have around a 60% success rate with these men and women.
Yeah.
Again, because they're all from right here.
Right.
So we completely focus on this community. We get them jobs in this community. We provide them transportation, everything here. We've built a whole family and a support group over the 8 months or a year that they're with us.
Yeah, that's what I think is so incredible about it, because you guys you're talking employment. They'll have a church family. They'll have hopefully renewed relationships with their own family.
That's right.
And now they'll have enough income to be able to support themselves that they don't have to go back to a different lifestyle that they had before. It's like all of the things that are missing from the current system. Right. I see happening in Hope Center.
We have, and this isn't something we just came up with overnight. We've been doing this for over 13 years now. We have over 20 locations. We have over 300 people, 300 residents in our program right now, men and women, all over America. We have a couple of locations in the United Kingdom. So this is something we've been doing for a while, and we've created a recipe for success.
Yep. That's awesome.
So this is not us just flying by the seat of our pants. We've figured out a good model, and it is working all over America.
Yeah. And you guys might remember, those of you familiar with the channel, it was maybe a year and a half ago or so, we were trying to roll out a program called CLC, and we were playing around with a lot of these same ideas, taking people that needed help, getting them gainfully employed, getting them life skills, and then kind of reintegrating back in the community. This is on a whole different scale than we were trying, and to be honest, we kind of just fell flat on our faces, and we could never get it off the ground. And so when I hear what you guys are doing and the system that you already have set up, it's like light bulb. That has to happen, and this should be the model everywhere.
I agree.
So I'm hoping you guys will be able to expand not just in Kittanning, but continue to expand across the United States. I want to go back to a little bit though about your story. You led off with I'm a six-time convicted meth cook.
Yes.
How did you end up go from that to getting involved with the Hope Center?
So I grew up with a guy named Josh Hanna. He's the president and founder of Compassion Church and Hope Center Ministries. We grew up in a small town, Humphreys County, Tennessee, Waverly, New Johnsonville. Josh, he was a little different, and he ended up going to church and getting saved, giving his life to Christ, whereas I went completely opposite way, racked up 6 manufacturing charges, and I went to prison. I got to a prison in Tennessee. They gave me 16 years for this.
Wow.
And that was devastating at the time, and I thought, what? When I heard that, it was like I was listening to Charlie Brown's Teacher. All I heard was wah, 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 wah. I could,
Yeah.
I thought they're crazy if they think I'm not doing 3 days in jail. I'm killing myself. That was my whole mindset when I got back to that cell that day.
Wow.
So I tied a rope or a sheet around the top bar. I got up on the top bunk and I tied it around my neck. And I jumped off the top of that bunk. And, buddy, when I hit, it snapped my neck back to the back of the bars, busted my skull open. I had to wear a halo for who knows how long. It was miserable. But as you can see, it didn't work. I laid there on the ground that day, and I just told God, I said, whatever I got to do, Lord. I said, I didn't even ask him to get me out. I knew I wasn't getting out.
Right.
I just said, help me get through this. So I ended up going to prison. I say it was getting around, and it was not some easy road. I was rough still. It took 40 years to get the Israelites out of the wandering in the wilderness. So it took some years for me to get out of there as well. So I was right at the end of 4.5 years in there. I was going up for parole. I went to church one night, and I was just sitting in there, and I was seeing all the evil going on. People were in there, in God's house, trading drugs, meeting up with their boyfriend or whatever. And I was just sitting there looking at all this, and I was just like, you know what? This is fake.
Yeah.
I was mad at God. I knew I wasn't getting out. I said, I don't believe any of this. And I got up and I left that night, and I went back to my cell. And I got in bed, and I was just devastated. I was completely giving up. And that night, a guy named John Madden, or Jeff Madden, not John. Jeff Madden came. He was like the football player.
Right.
That's how he introduced himself. And I was like, man, what do you want? This is like 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was a big prison guard. I was like, what is going on? And he said, you're not going to believe this. I said, what? He said, you know a guy named Josh Hanna? I said, yeah, I know Josh. And he said, well, I know Josh too, and I was praying. We've been praying for you, and God told me to stop by here tonight and tell you to finish the race.
Oh, wow.
And I sat there with this big prison guard in my cell and cried. I probably, I don't know, for 30 minutes or an hour, just bawling my eyes out. And I told God then, I said, whatever it is, God, if I got to stay in the prison for the rest of this sentence, for the rest of my life, I don't care. So I'm going to follow you for the rest of my life, whatever it is that you got me doing.
Wow.
Not even 4 months later, they let me out on parole. I got out. I sat on my dad's couch, and I was just like, I couldn't believe what was going on. And then a friend of ours, me and Josh's, he grew up with us too, Carson Plant, showed up at my house. He was the first resident of Hope Center Ministries.
Oh, wow.
Carson comes and gets me. He's my best friend. I still work with Carson today. He come and got me, and I took my first job at Hope Center. I was working on back then, it was rough back then. We were split, do whatever we could do to help fund the program. So I was out there splitting wood, selling reeks of wood to make money for the Hope Center. So that was my first job, and it was rough. So it was a rough time then. But now, I'm traveling all over the place talking to, men and women like you about an amazing program that God is using to change the world.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to change the world.
Amen. So you have how many centers are open now, and you're opening how many this year?
I think right now we have about 22 centers open. I think some will be open within the next few weeks.
Yeah.
That'll put us on up. Locations like Greenville, Pennsylvania, places like that will be opening in the next 6 months. So a lot,
Yeah.
a lot.
So our sister church, Bethel Life in Greenville, they're actually planning on opening 2 Hope Centers,
2 Hope
right?
Centers, yes.
So men's and a women's facility, and we're trying to open a men's facility here in Kittanning. And this is kind of this is first day you were here yesterday, yesterday in the evening, and so we're trying to work towards that. I want to give people a little bit more information too. You said first phase is like 45 days,
Yes.
intensive.
Yes.
Treatment, counseling, biblical knowledge, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, our curriculum is Celebrate Recovery, CR.
Yeah.
It's all Bible based. It's a 12-step program, but it's all Christ centered.
So you're taking them right through that in a faster pace than normal.
You know, most programs are 28 days to 21 days. You know,
Yeah.
they say 21 days you can form a new habit. So we're going to double that. We're going to do 45.
That's awesome. Okay. So then second phase, tell me a little bit more about the work therapy. I know Josh has told me about in the beginnings too. You guys are mowing lawns and splitting wood and all that kind of stuff to try to make money to support the house. How does all that work now?
So what we have now is we have vocational training through different companies that hire us on. And through this, they get training on how to do jobs, how to live normal lives, labor skills, whether it's manufacturing type jobs or whatever it may be. We work in the medical field in some places, make packaging medical supplies. We've done some sawmill type work where they just make flooring for houses and things like that. So they get a lot of vocational training and everyday knowledge on how to work in a normal life. You know, like me, for example, I never held a job in my life.
Yeah.
I sold and made and used drugs. You know, I was the typical resident of a Hope Center. I was a terrible person, did a lot of terrible things. But as far as working, I'd never worked a job in my life.
Yeah.
So when I got to prison, one of the greatest things they did for me was teach me how to work.
You're right.
You know, you got to have a job. They put us to work. I worked on a farm for about 2 years, and I'll never farm again.
That was enough of that, huh?
That was rough. But I got a work ethic developed through that. I got training developed through that. I can plant corn, potatoes, peppers, you name it. I can grow anything nowadays.
Yeah.
So I learned a valuable skill through there. So we try to do the same thing with Hope Center. We try to we teach these men skills, life skills through vocational training that helps them live in the real world.
Yeah. Amen, man. That's so good. Now explain to me a little bit that 6-week period, phase 3, kind of like, I don't know, I would call it like a warm handoff back into the regular society, so to speak. What does that look like when someone leaves the house? I think I remember they leave with some money to be able to get their first place, all that kind of stuff. How
So
does that?
once a person hits the 3rd phase of the program, they either get hired on at one of our vocational jobs or one of our vocational areas or schools. They hire them on full time, or they can go back to maybe a job that they'd worked before they ever came to the Hope Center. The choice is up to them, but they do have to have a job.
Yeah.
All the money that they make, they keep, they pocket. They don't have any bills at the Hope Center. They still live with us. We
Right.
still take care of the food, lodging, and all that stuff. So they can either stay with us and stay at the places we provide, or they can go get their own. But by the time they leave, we're also teaching them how to manage money and budget and things like that during that phase of the program.
Yeah.
We have a curriculum that's just set up that completely based on financial structure in life.
Yeah.
And so by the time they leave, I've seen guys walk out of the program with down payment on apartments with all their utilities and stuff like that. I seen a guy buy a new Cadillac one time. I couldn't believe it. You know, I still tell that story to everybody today. I say I could tell, you know, when they get to the 3rd phase, if you got a guy who's got ball caps, new clothes, and all this shiny new stuff, I'm kind of like, well, he didn't really get much. But when I see a guy walk out of there with the same clothes that he came in on in a new car, he got it.
Yeah, he figured it out. Yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah, they don't have any bills, these guys and girls, and they're able to save up money and actually be taught how to use it.
Yeah. Our great desire is this would happen in Kittanning.
Yes.
What needs to happen between now and the Hope Center opens in Kittanning for all this to come together?
So what we have to do is we always do proof of concept. That's what I'm up here today doing. We come in, visit, we make sure it's a healthy place, it's viable, there's work, there's places that'll work with the Hope Center, the court systems will work with us. And so that's basically what we do right now. And then by the time we get it open, we just start raising the money to get that cost.
Yep. So how much money does it take to open a Hope Center?
It takes us $260,000 to open one up.
Okay. So you got to raise some money. We have to have employers on board, I'm assuming. You have
Yes.
work contracts before you ever start?
Yes.
Okay. And then you got to have people to run the Hope Center.
Yes, that's key right there.
So what are the employees that you need in the Hope Center to make it work?
So we have 3 paid positions at Hope Center. The director, who is the guy that oversees everything at the Hope Center, from fundraising to the vocational training, all that type stuff. You have a recovery coordinator who does all things recovery. They're over the recovery aspect of the Hope Center. They recruit from other churches. They do all the one-on-one counseling. Their job is basically just making sure these men and women know who Jesus is. So, with Hope Center, it's a community thing. We're trying to get everybody in the community involved. It's an all hands on deck. So everybody that's in the Hope Center, they're from this area. So we really look to the community for support and help to teach these men and women how to live.
Oh, wow.
So our counselors, they're all certified through a school that we send them to. That way we know they're getting the best. They're either licensed pastors, things like that. So we really try to get the best people possible to pour into these men and women's lives.
Yeah.
The admissions coordinator is the 3rd position. So let's say we've got a region here. We've got Kittanning and we've got Greenville, Pennsylvania. There's 3 centers. We would have one admissions coordinator that works all of those areas.
Okay.
And that's the 3 positions at Hope Center.
All right. And so that takes some pressure then off the prison system too. You think if there's 3 centers around here, that's going to take a lot of the burden off of it as well.
Yeah, so we would have over 60 beds with 3 centers. So that's over 60 beds that are opened up in the jails to take more violent offenders and not people that are just hooked on drugs and alcohol.
Right.
So we're able to help these men and women who are just petty alcohol and drug charges, and we're able to take that burden off of the city and off of the community.
Okay. So on average, how long does it take to run someone through all 3 phases?
We have an 8-month program, which we don't. I think 5% of our people go through the 8-month program, but it's usually a year long. You've got 1 year.
So you'd be talking 60 people in our area every single year, and that's if it was just the 3 centers. Who knows? Might end up being a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. I don't know. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about what we're talking about? I think we hit on everything pretty basically. What do you think of Kittanning?
I love it. I love the city. I was telling you earlier when I landed at the airport and I came through that tunnel over at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I think when I go to heaven, what it's going to be like. They always talk about the light at the end of the tunnel. Man, when I come out of that tunnel, I almost wrecked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Pittsburgh was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, you came through right at a good time of day too, in the evening as the sun shine on everything. It's pretty awesome. I fell in love with that the first time, and then the first time we came into Kittanning too and drove off West Kittanning, come down the hill, you see the bridge and the city. I was like, okay, I could live here.
Yeah, it was amazing. When I looked up Kittanning on Google, I seen that view, the whole city, the bridge, the water. Yeah. I thought this is a pretty amazing place.
Yeah,
I couldn't wait to get here.
It is the greatest city in the world, man.
Yeah,
welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for coming up and sharing your story. I'm hoping that your story is going to be the one that we'll be able to tell in Kittanning over and over and over again, and we'll be able to help people find true recovery like you have. And this is like first fruits. We're just starting this journey, and I can't wait to see what God does with it. But thanks for making the trip. Thanks for telling your story, and thanks for being here.
All right, man. Thank you guys for having me and listening to me. I
guess last thing, if someone wants to get involved, if they wanted to give towards this effort, if they're an employer out there and they want to get involved, or if they say, man, that sounds like my dream job, how would they get a hold of you? How can they support what's going on here?
It's easy. You go to hopecm.com.
Okay. So I will post that link here. I believe there's already job descriptions on there. And so if you want to find out more, you can check that out. If you want to give to this thing financially, you could probably
Yeah.
just find me, and I'll make sure that that gets to the right place.
And if they want it, they can do it on the website as well. They just, when you hit donate, you put in the comment section Kittanning, and
Yeah.
it'll go straight to you.
All right, good stuff. So we're gonna hopefully be beginning this process. Obviously, I will tell you guys as much as I possibly can as we go through this. This is one of the most exciting things that I've ever been a part of in Kittanning, and I've been a part of a lot of different stuff. But I think this has the opportunity to be more transformative than anything we've done up to this point. And it really this is something that we need so dearly here. So if you are watching this, like the video, comment, but most importantly, share it with someone that you know. There are so many people in the community that have been touched by the scourge of addiction, that have lost family members, that desperately want to see this thing changed. So share this with someone that you know that would want to get connected and get involved. If we all pull together, I know we can make this happen in quick order, and we can begin this process of changing our community for the better. Amen?
Amen.
All right, guys. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and see you real soon.